Hey everybody, this is Chris Baker, your host of the podcast Tell Me Your Story. And today's special guest, I kind of let him tell himself. What's your name?
Rodney Harris.
Rodney Harris. And we're going to do like how we always do. We're just going to jump right into this and start from the very beginning and talk about where'd you grow up at, childhood and everything.
Hey, I want to first say, because when you reached out to me, I look at everybody's stuff. I always pay attention. To me, nobody's too big or too small. So I was up last night, like watching all your shows. So I like to say I appreciate what you're doing and keep doing it.
Thanks,
You
man.
know, um, I'm born and raised in Akron, Ohio.
From Akron,
Akron, AK Rod.
what a lot of people would know as right now, that's where LeBron James came from.
That is.
What'd you think of that last video, though, since we're on that topic?
I I I liked it. Really inspiring. Um, he, you know, that's all I can say about that. It was a good. It was a good one.
Did you take on my challenge?
Yeah.
Just to really, I mean, that's what I was telling Jeremy, man, is you just really got to appreciate everything that, life gives you. And a lot of us, like I was saying, people that are watching, from the last episode, you just really got to take it all in, man, and just be thankful for it all. You wake up every day and that's not promised. Every day is a blessing. You open your eyes,
That-
man, you're able to see, you're able to talk, you're able to hear, you know, that's incredible. And I do
yes, it
appreciate you
is.
watching my stuff, man. And the message is getting
Yeah.
out there. Sorry.
Yes, it is. You know, I I I I don't know how much you know about me. I guess that's what this is all about. But I have a TV network called Prime Local TV Network, and it's a platform for positive content. You know, uh, Me and my wife started it. We just got sick of all the negativity. We got sick of you know turning on the news, and it's just depressing news for 25 minutes. And we just felt like life was too hard already.
Yep.
And the last thing you need is to turn any kind of medium or device on, and all you get is like negativity. So we started a positive TV network. So I did want to say that. So I'm always, anybody that's talking positive, I'm gonna pay attention to you, and then I'm gonna promote what you do. So
All right. That's the whole goal of this podcast, man, is to let people know that they're not alone in this world. That, somebody's going through the same thing, same battle, same struggle you once did. I bet it was like, since you're in charge of the TV program, how was it just getting started, you and your wife, man? Can you kind of like dig into that a little bit? Was it tough getting
actually, when
started?
actually, it's still tough, because people are programmed for negativity. It's like when you say something positive, people don't feel like you can make it exciting all at the same time. You know, that's the tough part of it is people are so conditioned to see negativity that when you say positive, they pay no attention. Will Smith is a perfect example. As talented as Will Smith is, he still has that problem. Like when he started, he was, you know, it was gimmicky, but he wasn't NWA. And because of that, people just thought he was corny.
Yeah.
So what makes it so hard is people are conditioned for all this negativity. I mean, it's like right now, somebody cut you off on the way home, instantly they like red mad, ready to shoot you. That's a condition. So that's what makes it hard. But when I actually started a TV show before I started a network, um, and I don't know how you want me to do this, but I can just go into the story.
Go ahead,
Um,
man. Just let it all out there.
I born and raised in Akron. Uh, Started off really hard in life. My mom died when I was 16 months old, so I never knew her. Uh, Raised by my grandparents, they died in my early 20s, and from that point on, even though I had siblings, they were like out west. So I was all by myself. I was from a middle class family, and then all of a sudden, I'm like poor, like really poor.
And
To the
that's where the true battle took place, right?
Yeah,
And you're just
because
you're around a world of negativity, and you're just trying to stay. You're trying to find that positive.
yeah, well, I was just trying to find food. Like I tell people, I can tell you how long your body can go without eating.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, yeah. So even though I was living in my grandparents' house, I didn't have nothing. I didn't know how to do nothing. And somebody had told me that I was funny and I could be a comedian. And so, I still had electricity at that time. And I watched TV and I was like, I can be funnier than that person. And they on TV and I know they're making money. So with the little money that I had left, I was in the service. I was in the Navy. When I got out of the Navy, I had a little money left. And so with the little money that I left, I bought a camera and at the time a VCR. I would move the furniture in the living room to the side and I would just practice like this. I would tell my jokes, I would record it, I would go in the room and watch it and say, oh, when I say this, I need to do this and I need to do that. And I perfected that. And even though I started off with zero, within 2.5 years, I was headlining all over the country. You know, I was working with Bernie Mac and Steve Harvey and all of those people when nobody was nothing. We all was like struggling.
Kings of
You
comedy.
know, yeah. So I did that for a while, and then I had my first kid, had my daughter, and I had to come back to Akron, and I couldn't figure out what to do, and started working at the bank. And this old white guy come in the bank one day and called me buckwheat.
What? What?
And you
What?
you know somebody call you something and they catch you off guard.
Like, what did you
And
just
you
say, man?
yeah, you looking at them like this dude just called me buckwheat.
Yeah,
And then by comedy, I'm like, I don't look like buckwheat. Where did you get that from, right? And so I was like, you know what? I'm not supposed to do this. I can't do this. And I quit doing that. And right when I quit doing that, um, somebody told me LeBron was getting ready to go. I didn't even know him. And somebody told me LeBron was getting ready to get drafted number one in the NBA draft, and he was going to go to Cleveland. And the minute he got drafted, I started a media company.
really?
That's how I got. Yeah.
Wow.
So, we I covered the Cavs. Every NBA finals that he went to, we went. Akron today, we went. Because the NBA knew he was from Akron, so I kind of played on that.
Yeah, you ate
That's how I got.
that. You ate that all though.
You got to take advantage of opportunities, man.
It was there, and how quickly did it like go off for you? Take off, pretty much.
it it took off. That took off. The viewerships went up. The money didn't. But what I tell people is it's like building a resume. You know, People that come onto our crew, we get them to understand first you gotta get the talent, then you gotta perfect it, and that's called building your resume. You know, it's like even like if somebody was gonna hire you, it's hard to get a big money job unless you got the reference and the resume behind you.
Into
You
that.
know, so where that helped is the next thing that I did. Um, Barack Obama came to Akron. He was running for president first time, and because I had credentials, I went, and then I went down there and talked to his media people, got on the media list, and when he got elected, we covered him for like 8 years while he's in the White House.
Man, that's just God working right there, man. It all worked out.
Yeah,
One
I
plus
mean,
one.
really. Hold on a second. Let me show you something.
Okay.
This is my camera Hall of Fame, but this is the camera that I had all that time.
Oh man, you got a good one though. At least it wasn't like
You
one
know,
of them little phones.
yeah. And what I tell people is, just believe in yourself. You know, go through what you have to go through. Just start. Actually, just start. It doesn't matter what you got. It's your drive that's gonna get you through it.
Man, and that not only just the drive, but that motivation too, to keep yourself going, stay focused, stay motivated. Get you in that right direction, pushing you in where you need to be. Like you said, we live in a negative world, man, and I challenge a lot of people to just watch motivational stuff, keep yourself built up, and the more you watch, man, the more you'll feel better about just the world around you.
Well, to add on to that, you gotta have something that motivates you. You know, it's like what motivates me. I have a one, two, and three. One is my wife. I want to make sure that she has everything that she has. That motivates me every day. That makes me push past the nose. And then the second one is my kids. That motivates me. I want to make sure that their kids don't have to worry about money. If I can end that in my generation, then that pushes me every day. But the other thing that pushes me, the third, is like me. You know, it's like nobody believes that you can do whatever you do. It's like people are so conditioned that you have to work for somebody or you have to do this. And the minute you say, you know what, I'm going to do what I want to do with my life, you you know you ain't got a lot of people that roll with that. So you gotta have it in you. It's like I said, those days where I didn't have no food, I knew I had to keep pushing, or I was gonna starve. Really, I didn't know where the churches were that would feed you. I didn't know nothing about none of that. What I did know is if I keep pushing and I get to where I'm going fast, cut the time down, then I'm gonna eat tomorrow. You know, so that's how I motivate myself. And it's hard if it's only you. You gotta have something else because it is gonna get hard. It's gonna get very hard. And you gotta have something. Your dog, your cat. I seen your cat running past the thing. Yeah, I'm motivated for my cat. I want you got to talk, man. So You're
Well
gonna
said.
ask me.
Well said, man. Well said. Well said. The cats keep me motivated. My wife keeps me motivated. I mean, that's the truth. You got to be doing it for
Yeah,
something. And also, I'm motivated for myself. I want to have success. I want to do great. I think that's how everybody should feel. Honestly, you want a better life, the better one than what you
yeah,
started with.
yeah.
What
There
are
you go.
you, Little John over there? Yeah, I know a little bit of
Yeah.
comedy too.
Okay.
Okay. All right, let's get back into it though. Just where it's all started for you though. You started in Akron. Were you always in Akron? You just grew up all the way in Akron, or
I grew up in Akron. When I started doing comedy, after I started getting good at it, before I had my kids, I moved out to LA for about 4 years. Met a whole bunch of people out there. I just wasn't ready. It wasn't that I wasn't ready comedy wise. I just wasn't ready for all of the evils that come with entertainment. And I got to a level where I could see it and I wasn't ready for it. And I didn't run away from LA. I just knew that there was I had to experience what I needed to experience on a much smaller level. So when I came back to Akron and I started doing comedy concerts, I still needed security. I still made, you know, I had a time where I was making like 15,000 a show,
wow,
and I looked at it. I mean to be just straight real with you, along that same time, about that same time, I had like a vision. It wasn't a dream. I knew it was something real, and it was like the devil or his people was was saying to me, Rodney, you can be famous, you can be rich, you can have everything that you want. All you got to do is sign this. And then faintly in the back, it was something that said, you're gonna have all of that, but it's gonna take time. There's gonna be some things that you need to learn. Um, and it scared me. I didn't know that. I knew it was something I couldn't go just talk to anybody about because they would think I was crazy. And my best friend's mom, she was religious, but she was also spiritual. And I knew I could go talk to her. She wasn't going to laugh at me. And I went and talked to her, and she said, "That's exactly what's going on." You know, and I just chose to learn whatever it is that I needed to learn, go through whatever it is I needed to go through, and just be the person that God put me down here to be. And then I was raised in a church where, we were taught to listen, but we weren't taught, we were taught to pray, but we weren't taught to like ask questions, you know? And so as I got to an adult, I was scared to ask, what am I supposed to do? I didn't know that you could actually ask. And what I found out is sometime when God wants to tell you, he will actually tell you. And what he told me is what I was supposed to do with my life. And that's what I've been doing ever since.
that is awesome, man. I mean, really, a lot of people want to speak out about that, but the fact that you came out and really just told it like it is. I mean, like in that situation, I believe without a doubt, a lot of people come across that where the devil asks you that question. Like Jesus was tempted, so are you. You're going to be tempted too. I mean, that's exactly what
Yeah,
happened.
that's exactly what happened. I could go and tell you the story of that real quick
Go ahead.
because right after that, I started asking, like, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do with my life? You know, like I didn't want to just take the regular trip of what everybody else did, or do what somebody was telling you to do. I knew that there was a purpose that I was supposed to do. There was a job I was supposed to do here, right? And so when I started asking, what came to me was it explained why I went through being poor, and what the answer was there was going to come a time. This was about 30 years ago. This answer came to me that there was going to come a time where people were going to be out in the street and homeless and hungry, and all of the services and everything that were put there to help them was going to be gone, and nobody would help them. People would just walk past them, and God was sending people to help, you know, and that weren't going to look at people like you sorry, that's why you homeless or whatever, that not only would help them, that they could look in their eyes and see that although you're wealthy now, they can look in your eyes and they can see that you were there not too long ago, you know. So I'm not just giving you a place to stay. I'm not just giving you a job. I'm giving you, belief, because when you look in my eyes, you look at my clothes, you be like, okay, this person is wealthy now. He can't relate to me. But then when I say, oh, yes, I can, when you look at my eyes, then I'm telling you the truth. That I was broke to the point where, like I told you, Chris, I didn't have no food in the refrigerator, cabinets, or nothing. I remember one night sitting in my kitchen and watching the mice run up and run down. And I remember telling them, I don't know, if you find some food, let me know, right?
Let me know, man.
But there's people that's in that situation right now, So what's about to happen to me is that it's time. When it's your time, it's your time. And when you push through everything else and nothing stopped you, no matter what anybody said, no matter how many people used to laugh at me because I used to walk to the comedy club and it was about 15, 20 minutes away. People used to ride past me and laugh at me because I was dressed up and I was walking to the comedy club. And 2 years later, those same people, when I was walking down, getting into the limo, was looking at me wanting to get to know me. And I wasn't arrogant and like, oh, you used to laugh at me, but I remembered that, you know. So when you stand up, which is what is about to happen, when you stand up for God, everybody coming after you. They coming to bring you down,
Oh yeah.
right? But I'm like, I'm rolling with the strongest, best dude. I'm not worried about you. So that's part of my story, man. It's like all this stuff that happened.
It was worth it.
Uh, I did. It's been stuff like this, Chris. I was sitting on the porch. I had my son now because I got a son and daughter, and I was a single father all that time. But I was sitting on the porch with my son. He had to be 7, and I was thinking about doing a big show. And I was like, what's the biggest show I can do in Akron, Ohio? And as soon as I had that thought, the Goodyear blimp flew right over my house. It was so low, it could have landed in my driveway, right? And when you grow up in Akron, you always see the blimp, but it's like way up in the air. And this time it was so low that I couldn't miss it. And I looked up and I was like, yeah, that's the biggest show. And then I was like, they're not gonna do no show with me. You know, I ain't got no numbers. I don't have this. I don't have that. I had this little camera, but I called them. And when I called them, they were like little kids in the candy store. They was like, yeah, Rodney, not only will we do a show with you, you can fly anywhere that you want.
Wow.
And this is how I know it was God, right? And this is what people have to pay attention to. When I asked what's the biggest show I could do, the blimp flew over my house. When I went to do the story, the hangar where the blimp was 40 minutes away. So what that told me was God sent it before he knew I was going to ask for it. So he sent it 40 minutes in advance for it to show up at the time that I asked for it. That's how I knew that was from God. Now, what confirmed it? The next night, they said, Rodney, come back, bring your camera. We got a surprise for you. So I'm like, what? I don't know these people. What kind of surprise they got, right? And they waited until night. They pulled the blimp out, put the blimp in the air, and they flashed the name of my show on the blimp.
Wow.
So I could get footage of it.
How was it? How were you feeling in that moment though? Kind of
I
explain
almost passed out.
that.
I was like, that was unbelievable. You know, and at the time I had some people rolling with me. And when I was so excited. And when I went and told them, they was like, so they didn't give you no money. And I said, you know what? On your way out, because I don't roll with negative people.
Man.
I was like, on your way out, you can look this up. You ain't got to come back and tell me. But find out how many people Goodyear do that for. Because I asked them, and they were like, there's executives at Goodyear ain't never been in the blimp. And the thing I tell people, I'm not saying that I'm nothing special. What I do say to people is everybody is special.
Yes.
You
That is
know,
true.
everybody has something that I call it the wow factor. Everybody got something that they do that other people will go, wow. Like LeBron, wow. You know, people think that these celebrities are special. They're not. They're just people that went through whatever they had to go through that were unstoppable, that hit right on what they were gifted at. It's a God's gift.
What better
That's
what better way to put
that's
it?
what, yeah, that's what I understand. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. Every morning I get up. This is what I do. And when I get up in the morning, I know who woke me up. I ain't had nothing to do with that.
Oh, glory to God, man. And what better way to
Yeah,
put it in your words, man, is everybody has a gift. Everybody has a gift they
yeah.
receive from God. And if you can figure out what that gift is, that's gonna take you where you need to be, man. That's where you're gonna prosper at.
And you know what I tell people? Here's how you figure it out. What makes you happy? Like when you hear people that's successful and they say, well, this ain't really a job. I love doing this. If nobody paid me, I would do this. I love it. Like with me, we've been covering the NFL Hall of Fame for about 15 years, right? When I go and I'm down on the field and Jerry Rice is standing right next to me and Troy Aikman standing right next to him and Emmitt Smith, and I'm standing right next to them, and I'm like, man, this is just unbelievable. This is unbelievable. So it's like I would do that. Most people would do that even if nobody paid you.
Yeah,
So what I
that's
tell
the dream though,
people,
right there.
what I tell people is, what is it that makes you happy? Then figure out how to make money doing it, and then master it. Because once you master something, you get paid more money. It's just like college. a master's degree makes you more money than an associate's. People don't want to put the time in that it takes. They want instant gratification. Nothing comes worth it. Like you're not gonna get a master's. You could be a genius. You're not gonna get a master's the minute you step in the college doors.
Man, I thought I would.
Yeah. So, um, and you know the crazy thing, Chris. I know you normally ask questions. When I get done saying this, you can ask me all the questions you want, right? I My life has been so amazing. I mean, stuff like I told you, my mom died, but I was told that my dad did it, right?
Yeah.
So and so I hated my dad with a passion all my life. I didn't want to get to know him. I didn't want to know nothing about him. He never did anything for me. I didn't even want to see him. And then one day, not too long ago, my brother asked me, because my brother had a relationship with him, and my brother asked me to go pick him up and bring him to breakfast. And I went and picked him up. I didn't say nothing to him on the ride to the restaurant. I didn't say nothing to him on the ride back. But right when I pulled up in his driveway, it started pouring down rain and he couldn't get out of the car. And so we just sitting there, right? And so then he said to me, he says, "Can I ask you a question?" And I was like, "What?" He said, "How come when you were trying to get to know me, you just quit?" And I was like, "You don't know why?" And he was like, "No, that's why I'm asking you." I said, "You don't know what I've been told about you?" He's like, "No, tell me." And I told him that I was told that the night my mom died, you came in acting a fool. You took your pistol out and you shot at her. And then you left and she died of a heart attack. That's what I heard. And you used to beat her up and all of this stuff. That's what I heard. And then he started crying. And so I'm looking at him like, what he crying about, right? And then he said, "Ain't none of that true. Ain't none of that true." So I spent all my life mad at this man that ain't none of that was true. And then he told me his side of it, right? And I started to get to know him, and then he died. That's the kind of stuff that happened in my life. So I tell people, that life is short. Don't go on what anybody else say. Find out for yourself, especially family stuff. Find out for yourself because those 2 years that I did get to know my dad, I found out I was just like him. It was like looking in a mirror. It was amazing. I had never had that in my life. Remember I said my mom died, so I that was the first time I had an opportunity in my life to look my parent, in the face and talk to him.
I actually had
You
that
know, so
relationship.
yeah. So I wrote a book. I'm almost finished with it. It's about my life. It's about all this stuff that been happening, um, and it's to really tell people that you just figure out what you're supposed to do, focus on it, uh, figure out how to make money if that's what the money is a part of it because you can't feed a lot of people if you don't have the money to do that. You know, you can't put people to work in your company if your company don't have the money to pay them.
It's
So God told me a long time ago the money was going to be there when it's time to be there. So, but the name of the book is called Life's Rain. And then the subtitle is Let God Be a GPS in Business and in Life,
amen to that.
you know, and it explains all this stuff that's been happening to me. That when people question it, and when I say God did it, they can't they can't find any other Breeze, it was too big. Like I told the people, yeah, the blimp thing, that was the Goodyear blimp. That's one of the most recognizable things on the planet in the air. Wasn't a balloon, it was the blimp. So when people question it, it's that big. It just shows how God can do big things that nobody can question. They can try, but you can try all you want. You can try. Like when I told you, when I did the president, this is what I had. You can't question that. I didn't have no big numbers. I didn't have no rich uncle that said I'm gonna make some connections to get you into this. That was what was supposed to happen because and that's where the GPS. I'm walking the path of my life where I'm supposed to walk. I don't have detours. I don't turn. When I met my wife, I told her, you trying to drive the car yourself. And she didn't know what I was talking about. I said, if you can't wake yourself up in the morning, you can't drive the car of your life. Now, if you can prove to me that you woke yourself up this morning, then you also can drive your life. But I'm like, why? When all you got to do is just keep walking straight. God tell you to go this way, go this way. Keep going. Like one of the questions that I have for you, but I'm not surprised because this doesn't surprise me. And the reason it doesn't surprise me is because when I was watching you last night do your show, I understood. Like you were supposed to find me. This was supposed to happen, right? That's the GPS.
Yep, that's got
That's the GPS. You want to go to wherever you're supposed to go in your life? Just keep walking. Like you are on the right track. I can't tell you that. You're on the right track. And don't let nobody discourage you. Don't let nobody throw you off your track. Even if I don't know if you that's your home. Even if you lose everything, don't let nobody throw you off the track. So go ahead, ask me whatever is you want to ask me. I'm gonna be quiet.
all right. Well, kind of spoke it all out there too. I mean, all right, let's you covered your childhood pretty good. Well, we'll dig into high school. Let's cover that. How was that?
High school was cool. I went to commercial arts. So I went to a school called Central Howard. So it was for people that were gifted in whatever. It was like a trade school. And, so I did have some kind of creativity that was natural. Like I can create stuff naturally. So I went to Central Howard. I went there to play basketball, but I didn't know they recruited their team since we was in like the second grade, stuff like that, right?
Yep.
They were like a powerhouse in basketball. So
I mean that's kind of how it is here in like Sandusky. Is I don't know how it is now. I've been out of school for about 10 years, but that's how it was when I was there. They already had the team picked out. When you got the tryouts, good luck, man. But the team was already decided in the summertime. It was already the lineup was there. So I can totally relate to that.
Yeah, I left there and went to the Navy. That's how I got in the Navy. Went around the world like 4 times. So.
All right, let's dig
Next question.
Let's get into the Navy life. How was that, man?
Navy was cool. I mean, it was cool because it took you around the world. I was like 19. I was from a little town. I didn't know nothing. And it taught you a lot, because we would go overseas for like 6 months. And then they would, for some unknown reason, our shore where we stopped at ports they always dropped us off in like the roughest hood of every country. And, you young, You've been out at sea for 2 weeks. Your money is coming out your pocket. You want to have fun. You want to drink. You want to taste women. And so you go into these red light districts, and all of the criminals are scheming against you.
Yeah, they waiting
You
on you.
know, yeah, because even at that time, nobody could stand Americans. So you got that uniform on. So you got like this big bullseye on your chest. But we were so young, and we understood we just need to stick together. And we were like young lions. A young lion ain't scared of hyenas. You know, don't wander off by yourself though. But and then as the more we went, the second year, you got a higher rank. You can take your uniform off, put civilian clothes on, and go away from and travel into the city. So I experienced what it felt like to just travel around the world um, early in life. And like I tell my kids, they're in their mid 20s now, and I try to tell them, try to experience life, before you settle down. Because once you settle down, it's not the same.
No.
You got responsibilities. Before you have that, just try to do everything that you can do. Enjoy young life. You know.
And
So
that's my advice to anybody that's actually watching and listening right now, is to really take that in. Get out there and travel the world, experience it, kind of get to feel different cultures, get out of your area and explore it, man, because it's really going to open you up and you're going to be thankful in the long run. So I
hey
totally
man,
agree with that.
watch this. This is how God been with me in my life, right? Here's how I met my wife. I was I had met her niece, and I was thinking about doing a show in Canton, and I met her niece. And as I'm talking to her niece says, you need to meet my aunt. She's a real good business manager and everything else, right? So the next day, she gets me on the phone with her aunt, and we're just straight talking business. And it wasn't this. We were just on the phone, so I didn't see her. We were talking business, and then the next day, I called her back. And to this day, it wasn't something that said, "Ooh, you need to call her." It wasn't none of that. I just called her, and I told her, I said, I just need you to know this, that it's something about you that's personal. And I want to say that right now. Now, whatever happens, happens. But I want to say that right now because I don't want to wait 6 months down the line and we doing business, and then all of a sudden I'm like, "Hey, girl, what's up?" So she told me that the night before her niece called, she asked God for a good man because she had been in bad relationship after bad relationship. She asked that the day before. And the next day, when I told her that, we ain't stopped talking to each other since. And I didn't meet her in person for 2 years.
Wow.
We've
Wow.
been married for 13 years.
Wow. There it is again, folks, man. God works.
she about to come in. She worked for the airline, but which is how we got to Indianapolis. But we just once we started talking, we never stopped talking. Like to this day, we talk all the time. You know.
You just have a
So
connection that it's
yeah, yeah. And I told her, I said, God told me for the first couple of years, you're not gonna believe this relationship. Like you just gonna think it's too good to be true. But I was like, that's how God do things. Like, if I want, if my testimony to people, it would be that's how God does things. Too good to be true. It's that big,
Now,
you know?
on that subject, I want to kind of let's go a little bit into that. Have you
Okay.
always had God in your life, or was there times where you didn't?
You know, I say this and I say this in my book, right? That uh I got a chapter like when were you introduced to God? And I thought I was introduced when I was young in church. And I realized that I wasn't introduced until later in my life, you know, uh, because it's easy to say that you believe in God when things are going good for you.
Yeah.
But when you really meet Him is when things are going bad,
Yeah.
you know, that's when you really meet Him.
That.
So, so I like to think that I had a relationship with Him all my life, but when I was for sure, I had to be probably like 27. But then once I was sure, I was sure. You know, uh, like I said, I don't, I don't, I don't believe in guarantees. Like, yeah, in my business, I plan for tomorrow. I plan for next year, second quarter, third quarter. But the reality is, every morning I get up, I'm like, okay, I'm in familiar surroundings. I'm still here. That's how I live my life, man.
God ain't finished with you yet. It's another day, another
Now,
blessing, man.
now you got to do whatever it is that you're supposed to do, and I just think he finished with you if you don't do that. If he's trying to tell you and you won't listen,
Yeah, and a lot of times a lot of people like kind of want to know, how do you know when God's talking to you? What would your advice be to them?
how you know when God's talking to you? What I tell people is if you if people know how to pray, but they don't know how to listen, right?
Say that
Once you
again. Say that again.
People know how to pray, but they don't know how to listen. So once you know how to listen, sometime you can hear. Now you got to know who's talking to you because the devil is really smooth. The devil's people are really smooth. They can fool you. But like I tell people, here's how you know the difference. God ain't gonna tell you nothing that just don't make no damn sense. You know, like God ain't gonna tell me, wake up, Rodney, go get a big knife and chop your wife up. Right?
Uh,
That's not God telling me to do that, right? So so when you learn how to listen, like I told you, when I was living in LA, I used to walk through this place called the Jungle. And the Jungle was in the movie Training Day with Denzel,
yeah.
where his kid lived, that was the jungle. So I lived with my sister on one side of it, and then there was a comedy club on the other side of it. So I had to walk through the jungle on Wednesday to get to the comedy club.
Man.
So it's just like in the movies. They just look at you like, who, like you done lost your mind, right? But where I tell people where you need to learn how to listen is because sometime something would say, cross the street right now. And I wouldn't even doubt it. I would cross the street and it would be somebody behind me or somebody coming on the other side of the street, you know. So that's where you need to learn how to listen. It's like I said with the blimp thing. I could have not listened. I could have just said, "Oh, that's a coincidence," but that's what I asked for, though. So why would I not listen? It's like my wife. She asked for a good man. I called the next day. Why would she not listen? You got to understand how good God can be in your life. Like a lot of people think a lot of that good stuff is just stuff that happened in the Bible way back in the day. I'm like, no, that stuff happens every day. So I hope that answered your question.
Oh, without a doubt.
That's
And another, like, what I'll add to that too is he's gonna find a way to get you to listen. You know, if you ain't listening here, he's gonna put it on a sign somewhere. He's gonna give you a message, man. If the sign ain't catch it, somebody else is gonna have to come up and talk to you. I've had it happen a few times to me. Complete stranger come out
yeah.
of nowhere and tell me a whole story. I'm like, what? You sent from God?
Or, look, or sometimes he just spank you. You want to be hard headed. God, like just like you're a parent. That's your father. So sometimes your father get upset because you ain't listening and have to do some things to make you listen. That's where you may lose everything that you got because you're not listening. And maybe that's what it takes for you to listen. For God to say, you know what, I'm gonna take all that from you. So it's really, people make it seem like it's harder than what it really is. It's not. It's not. The hard thing is when you put yourself out there like that and people start coming after you or coming for you, now it gets hard. Now what you gonna do? You still gonna stand up? You know?
And this is what I was kind of touching on with my last podcast with Jeremy. Is this is where you have to make sure you're making the right decision. Are you listening to yourself? Or are you actually listening to God? Because this is where a lot
Yeah.
of people make that mistake. Because God's leading you every step of the way. But sometimes we feel like, okay, we got it from here. And then you let go of God's hand, and then you're headed in the wrong direction. And then that's where all the mistakes come in.
But like I said, that's where the GPS come. You know? You don't know where my house is. I know. I can direct you straight from your house right to my front door, around all the detours and everything else. But if you don't listen to me, then you get caught up in all the detours. And what I tell people is, it's this simple, Chris. Here's what I learned in church. God know when you born to the second, and know when you die to the second. That's what I was taught in church. Here's what I learned in my life. The middle part, right? If it's that detailed, then all of your life is that detail. Everything is already laid out for you. Like you said, you got kids.
Not yet.
Okay, so when you have kids, wouldn't you lay out everything for them if you could?
Oh, yeah, of course, without a doubt.
So, like this here was laid out already. How, like, we don't know how it happened. It just seemed like it happened, but it was already laid out, right? That's where the GPS. If you listen to the GPS and just follow it, then you're gonna run into stuff that you're supposed to run into in your life. Like people ask me all the time, where are you gonna find your investors from? Where this, where that? I was like, when it's time for somebody to invest in me, they're gonna be right there. And I'm gonna know that they're the right ones. I don't care if you about to invest $50 million. If you're the wrong person, I'm not gonna do it with you. I'm not supposed to. It's already there. It's already laid out. So that's what I tell people. That's the slogan. Quit driving the car by yourself.
Preach it, man.
Because see, you think you know, so you gonna turn. And you ain't supposed to turn, you're supposed to stay straight. When you start turning, you ain't listening, and that's when you run into all these detours.
Yeah. That's when you make the mistakes.
That's when you make the mistakes. And you do. And you live and you learn. I don't turn no more. I don't drive the car no more. I sit in the back seat and read the paper.
Yeah, I like that. That's good. That's the best way to be, man.
Yep.
Let them
So,
lead every step of the way.
yep. Next question, if you got one, man.
But we had a mic drop there for a minute because that was, I mean, a lot of people listening right now, they probably took that in. They're like, wow, I never saw it like that. But it's the truth. I'm glad, like,
Yeah.
I hope you got that message, or is watching, listening right now. I hope you understood that correctly.
When I release my book, which should be soon, uh, I'm gonna start going on speaking tours and stuff like that. And because I want to start talking to people. I wanna say what I'm saying to you. You know, because when you look at what's going on in life now, there's people that are about to lose everything that they got. They don't know, but they're about to lose everything that they got, and ain't nobody gonna help them. But what they don't know is what I know, that God has been conditioning people their whole lives to help. So somebody gonna be there to help you.
Say that one more
So
time so people understand.
yeah, somebody gonna be there to help you. And they may not come right away because God want to see what you got inside of you. Like I said, it's easy to believe when everything's rolling good for you. But the minute something roll bad, you lose your house, you lose your car, you lose your job. Where's God? God is gone. God ain't with me. You know?
And there, like, you touching on that, there's somebody that I tell every day, that goes through that. They realize they see the peak, and it's going good, everything is great, and all of a sudden the tests are coming in. And I always think of the book of Job. Like, he got tested constantly. And God's gonna put you to the test to make sure you have enough faith. Do you trust him? Do you understand that God's leading you to the right? He's gonna test you though from time to time. You're gonna have those battles.
Yeah. You here's the other thing. When things are going bad, it's all about how you think about things. When things are going bad, like when the mice was running through my kitchen, right? That was very bad. I had no food. That was very bad, right? Here was the good that I could actually see too. The All the utility companies came up in front of my house at the same time and cut everything off, right? In the wintertime. The same time that happened, my next door neighbors ran a cord, an extension cord from one of them orange ones, from the back of their porch into the back of my porch, and I had electricity.
Hmm.
Right now, here's the good. Here's how I know God put them people right next to me. They did it for 6 months.
Wow.
People don't do that. People don't do that.
No, that's definitely that's definitely God, man.
So when there is bad, there is good. And if all you look at is the bad, then that's what happens. You doubt and all of that stuff comes. But when you see some good, you realize that was God. Because I could have very well been that could have very well not happened. That doesn't happen. I could have froze to death,
Yep.
you know? So there's good. Look for the good. And the good will keep your faith strong and it'll make it stronger.
And what better way to do it though is when you wake up in the morning, do the golden rule. And what that is simply is Just list off the 10 things that, you're just thankful for, you're grateful for, you know? And the more you do that, the more you'll see God's blessings flow in your life. You'll be able to see it more. You'll see there's work
Yeah.
taking place.
So give me one more, Chris, and then I gotta go because I got a meeting coming up here shortly.
All right. So what's the next thing that's gonna happen? What's taking place in your life right now? Because I think we've pretty much covered everything.
We're doing uh uh we got some big productions coming up out in Hollywood. It's like a boxing Mayweather doing something, and we got with not with his production company, but a guy that's also from Akron that got with them that's producing one of these fights that's coming up. They're still trying to see when it's going to be and who they're going to fight. It's Mayweather. Mayweather going to fight somebody, and then Roy Jones Jr. is going to fight somebody. And once I do that, uh, we're getting ready to do the with our Prime Local. We're getting ready to open up some more cities. Basically, I didn't explain that. Prime Local, we do it per city. So it's like a Prime Local Cleveland, it's a Prime Local Pittsburgh, and we're going to take that nationwide to be able to cover positive stuff in that area. So if you live in Cleveland, you can see stuff that's happening with the community. People can have their own shows. They can movies. Somebody made a movie. If it's positive, we'll put it on the network. Put people to work in that area. So if you're from Cleveland, you can see Cleveland stuff. If you're from Pittsburgh, you see Pittsburgh stuff. Austin, Texas. So we bringing on a couple other cities, hiring some people, and just changing the whole local feel. So local people. I mean, we're not gonna have the news or nothing.
No, I
Um,
don't want the news.
yeah, but everything else, people can come. Like if we have a Prime Local Sandusky, people can come and see people like you. They'll know where to come to see positive stuff. Like you don't even know where that's at now. Yeah.
It's the truth. It's the truth. I
So
mean, that's why I tell a lot of people to go on, and I do it like a 30-day challenge with people is to listen to motivational stuff every day for like 1 hour, and then you'll start feeling it yourself, man. Because that's where it's at. That's where it
yeah,
takes place. It'll change your mindset too on things.
yeah. So we call it the new local. Because all you getting locally right now is a whole bunch of negativity and the weather.
Yeah.
Here's all you're getting locally. You're getting the negativity, the weather, and sports.
And that's the truth. That's the truth, man.
Nobody local, ain't none of them news stations locally trying to do anything worth anything positive. It's just all just negative, man. So we coming over. We gonna take over the local media thing.
And that's what people need more than ever right now. Especially, I mean, what has happened in these last 2 years. People are so, scared. It's just all around us. So positivity needs to be spread more than ever right now.
Yeah. And let me say this before you go. And okay, so remember when I told you when we started that net positive is hard to do, right? Because people are conditioned to be negative. So an investor asked me recently, uh, why would you limit yourself at only doing positive? Here's my answer to him. Here's my answer to everybody, right? We're going to markets where it has to be at least 1 million people in that metropolitan market. The reason is with a million people, I'm not looking for a million people. I'm looking for at least 100,000 that want to see something positive sometime, right? Now, how I sell it to sponsors is negative people don't buy nothing but negativity. Positive people cannot they can do both. Positive people can watch some negative stuff, but they also can watch positive stuff. Negative people can't watch positive stuff, right? So to a sponsor, negative people not gonna buy your car. Positive people buy things,
Yeah, very true.
right?
Very, very true.
So if I get 100,000, 150,000 in each market that just want to see some positive stuff sometime, that's local. I don't need a million people.
Not only that though, but with the positivity people, that means it's gonna spread like wildfire.
That's right, because they positive.
Yep,
And positive people know, if you're right, positive people know positive people. Some positive people try to hold on to their negative friends till they just can't hold on to them. But positive people know positive people. Like, I don't know no negative people. I don't want to hear that. How you know that you're going to succeed? What you got to fall back? I don't need to hear that. I'm going to fall back in my casket when I fall back.
that's good. That's good.
So, anyway, Chris,
All right,
it was a pleasure.
as we wrap this thing up, if there's anyone that
Yeah.
wants to get a hold of you or come in contact with you, how do they do that?
You could go on my LinkedIn like you did. I think you connected me. Everybody try to connect with me through LinkedIn, and that's cool. You can go to the website. It's Prime Local, www.primelocal.us, and then just hit the contact, and I'll get it. Um, that's like the easiest way because I'm on my social media. I'm on Instagram, but I don't focus on that stuff because there's too much negative stuff going on. I don't really focus on Facebook or Twitter. I don't got time for that.
Preach it.
But I do look at my LinkedIn like all the time. So I focus on my website and I focus on LinkedIn. You can also see Prime Local on Roku and Amazon Fire Stick. We on there too.
That's how you find them. Also, I want to add on here. Somebody asked me my email earlier this week. Do I know the people on my show? No. This is actually the first time me and him.
No,
This is the first time we met.
yeah, but we two of the same types of people though. You
Same.
know, I mean, I'll tell you this. Once I meet you, because a lot of people did this to me when they got famous in comedy. Like they act like they didn't know you no more. But when I connect with people and they're positive, like I won't forget that I know you, you know? And that's the problem that we have as a society. We don't help each other,
That's what we
you
need
know?
more than ever.
Yeah, so um, anyway, man, I could talk forever because, like I told you, I used to do comedy. I could talk all night, man. But I got this meeting. I really gotta get to.
All right. I just
So
want to say thanks for coming on the podcast and telling your story. If there's anybody else that's watching and listening, I just love hearing your stories, man. Do it just like how he came on here. He told his story. You heard it. But thanks. Thanks for watching. This is Chris.